urban poverty are termed as the problems that we face in the city. Some examples include water rationing even in middle class estates like, let's say, South B and South C. You may find in a week some people get water twice and some estates get water 24/7 and some have none at all and some use even maji ya mtaro.
Mimi niko na mtoto disability na hasomi, ako 10 years na ni girl. Mi kwanza sana naionea hapo kwa watu walemavu. Tunalea hawa watoi ile upati shule zao ni expensive sana. Sika venye unaweza enda upate kwa serikali mtoto nomo ni free. Special tunaitishwa pesa. Hata mingi kuliko hata mtoto nomo wa secondary unalipishwa. Hatufiki bado hiyo. Sasa mimi naona ile umaskini bado iko mtaani. Inatufinyilia na watoto wetu bado.
Urban poverty is the lack of the knowledge. You see, yes, there is nothing else. When you have the knowledge, you do it.
Ni kweli kabisa kuna umaskini mjini. Umaskini ni mjini ni kwamba kuna ukahaba na ukosefu wa kazi. Haswa ukiingia hata katika mji wa Nairobi, utapata watu wengi wako katika jobless corner.
Urban poverty ni naelewa vile umaskini katika ground. Umaskini vile imeenea katika hizi mitaa zetu.
About urban poverty, I understand it is in informal settlements because we have so many informal settlements in Nairobi whereby people living there, they lack most of the social amenities and they lack most of the resources that they need to live in a better life. For example, water, healthy, good environment, clean environment, most of the things they lack, those people living in the urban slums or informal settlement.
Poverty in Kenya is very quickly relatable to rural areas. Rural areas are poorer than urban areas. And that has, in some instances, almost made it look like in urban areas there's nothing much to worry about. And so pockets of poverty in urban areas have actually been left out in some of the discussions that we've had around how to deal with poverty in the country.
Poverty is one aspect that should be looked critically. Both the traditional definition of poverty in terms of infrastructure access and in terms of the income requirements for a household to be declared poor, and thus influencing decisions on allocation of resources in the future.
So you find that one family, if somebody earns less than 300 shillings per day, and he has about 5 people in a house, to support that family is a challenge. So you find that sometimes to have 3 meals a day is a problem.
If you look at the trend line from 1991 to 1997, rural poverty moved up from 47 to 52%, but in the urban areas, it moved from 25 to 49%. It means that the people in the cities are continuously getting poor, and the rural people, while they're poor, doesn't mean that the urban people are not poor.
One of the contributors to urban poverty has been policy that addresses the influx of people in urban areas, and especially the peripheral urban area, where a lot of informalness exists.
We have all women who never go to up country. When they came to Nairobi, maybe they were divorced and they cannot do any job. Maybe they live on begging to those people who are able within the village. So the number is big, but the rating of that qualification of poverty is a problem according to the experts.
When we did that policy, none of the sub-locations in the urban areas came up. And the reason that urban areas did not show up is because we did not use poverty in crafting that, in crafting the second policy. We simply used access to water, access to electricity, education, and health. And then we put an index on access. Some of the urban areas, their problem is not access to these facilities. The problem in urban areas is ability to pay, which is a slightly different problem from marginalization. That is why you will not see urban slums in that policy, because they require a slightly different intervention.
Because urban poverty has different shapes to it, right? So in rural areas, if you're in Baringo or if you're in Laikipia North, the biggest problem you have as a poor person is that you have to walk 10 kilometers to get water. Now, someone in Kibra doesn't have to walk 10 kilometers to get water, but the water they get is very expensive. So it's also a question of affordability. So in urban areas, the shape of poverty also has some different angles that are not necessarily the same in rural areas. And so addressing urban poverty will also need a bit of special attention as compared to the very generalized mechanisms that we've used for the general poverty discussion, especially in rural areas.
So there's an issue of affordability, affording, or purchasing power, and there is an issue of access to these services.
The formula that was placed as a matter of population factor has never looked into the changes, the change factor. You will see Eldoret is serving almost entire North Rift and part of Western region. You realize Nadi County, most of the people reside in Uasin Gishu, and all of these people who reside here require services. We really find the small resources we have, we really strain to give service to these people.
One of the challenges that we see is that poverty at the moment is only broken down to county level. For us, from where we sit, for us to take devolution to the next level, they need to break poverty below the county. They need to give us poverty numbers at the ward level. That way, we'll be able to ensure that when counties are allocating their budgets, we'll be able to ask, is this budget pro-poor? Is it taking care of the depths of the areas of the wards where there are depths of poverty? But at the moment, because poverty is given at the county level, we are not able to break it down below. And it is important going forward to make sure there is no marginalization within the county, to make sure there is equitable distribution of resources within the county itself. And we can only do that if we have poverty numbers below the county.
Another aspect of poverty index, we on and on we've been trying to raise to CRA to look at this. As one, either that we need to look at a way of increasing the equalization fund, and increasing this equalization fund, we need to look at the approach and the structure of this equalization fund, so that we're able to identify the regions that are actually need the equalization fund.
Our economy is in the wrong hand. That's true. It's a utopia. People say they don't want to come down and they listen to the solution coming from Kenya. Na ujue kitu kingine, mimi sijawahi kwenda nchi ya nje nikaona kitu imeandikwa made in China and license from Kenya. Naona katu and license from US, and license from Europe, and license from Japan. But that means we don't innovate, invent, or poor handling of copyright issue. No? Hiyo inasaidia economy inafanya poverty grow, kwa sababu economy already iko stagnant. The capitalist most clean food, you must export more than import.
Question inasema, what are the point implications? What information do you have on poverty in urban areas, and what information do you want to have?
We already know the needs.
The priorities. And what are and also the causes of this?
Yeah, causes.
The causes. What causes?
Siku slums ina grow every day by population.
Yes.
Change inafanya they grow. What information that I want to have?
But ni kama hiyo uko nayo tayari.
Unaona example teenage pregnancy. Unajua ni watoto wangapi wanapata members of utotoni kwa hiyo place? Haujui. So you need that data on that. Alafu on nini
inasababisha expectancy huko.
Data on teenage pregnancy.
Most of
causes.
Yeah.
There are these public funds that when you do presently mentioned, the Women Empowerment Fund, the Youth Fund, you know, like how much of those goes to these easy areas zenye zina benefit groups poor areas. So we may need data on that.
We identified the issues, so that the issues of leaving the urban people behind, we had 6 of them. The first one was discrimination in allocating resources and funds. And all these government projects, you find that when it comes to calling people poor, we want to give Samburu, Laikipia, not the informal settlement. When it comes to giving the urban centers, we want to give Karen and Woodley. We don't want to give Kibera and other areas. Now, number 2 was the lack of prioritizing in policy planning. Yes, so that whenever we are making, these policy makers are making policies or programs around urban areas or generally about Kenya, we tend to take the informal settlement people as illiterate people or people who bring quote-unquote hooliganism. So we don't give them priority when we are making our plans. They come as a by the way. So when we finish our wanini, tutawaletea hizi kidogo zenye tuko nazo. Number 3 was the lack of exposure and limited access to information. So the people in the informal settlement will not know what exactly is going on, how these projects came about. They only hear of nyumba yako inabomolewa kwa TV. Nyumba yako lakini ikibomolewa pia we unawatch kwa TV nyumba yako ikibomolewa. Number 4 was inadequate government policy presence and supervision, which now facilitates social vices. So you find that in the informal settlements, ndio utapata high crime rates, utapata addiction, alcoholism, and all this mainly based on the fact that there is actually less government supervision. So hakuna makarao, so crime itakuwa juu. Hakuna place ya karao. There's nothing like a dispensary, so hata rape victims go up and mahali pa kuripoti ni mbali, so it becomes a norm within the society. The 5th one was disempowerment of the business and trading environment. So you find informal settlements have the highest unemployment rates, and if we are employed, we are employed again in the informal sectors. If we decide to become hawkers, we are beaten up, we are chased. If we decide to open kiosks, zinabomolewa. If we decide to go to kuomba loan, tunanyimwa juu sisi ni watu wa slum. So at the end of the day, we actually have nowhere to go. If it were a better situation, we will at least have one option, but options zetu zote ni limited. And then the last one was bureaucracy in government services that facilitate corruption and discrimination. So ukienda kuchukua ID, unaambiwa hii jina yako iko na kashida, ndio uende, mara baba yako si wa Kenya, kitu kama hiyo, ndio utoe shilingi 2-3 for your ID to be processed, which is something very common kwa informal sector.
Even amongst policy circles, there's a disagreement on what aspects of poverty should feature with regards to resource distribution. There are a couple of basic global standards that everyone, I think, knows about. The poverty rate, how many people are poor, the poverty line, what is the level of income at which below you're considered poor, what is the poverty gap, how far below that line you are, what is the poverty severity, how bad your poverty is, and absolute poverty versus relative poverty. So there are a lot of ideas that were circulating surrounding poverty.
One, the capacity building of this government worker, so that this worker giving IDs or this worker giving youth fund knows exactly what he's looking for and the checklist that he's supposed to have, so that he knows his work and everything that goes with it, so that hakuna ile position ya mtu hajui anakuitisha kitu yenye logically haifai kuwa. And then so once we have had a capacity building for the trainers, now we partner with the government to do now sensitization to the people, so that you tell them ukienda kwa serikali, if you want to take an ID, for example, you only need to carry your birth certificate na photocopies za ID za mzazi. And then after sensitizing the people, we create a robust complaint mechanism such that kwa hizi ofisi kukuwe na kitu, a complaint desk, and then we make sure that every office we have, ukienda hapo unapata hiyo poster kubwa imechorwa everything you need and the process that's supposed to be taken for an ID and a hotline hapo chini, such that mtu wa gava amefunzwa, mimi nimefunzwa, nikikuja kuapply nikipatiana, in case aseme kitu yenye ifai kuwa, tuko na kitu tunaangalia hapa, na in case anataka tu kuwa mstubborn, niko na mahali naweza piga si. So at the end of the day we create a cycle that is both covering the state, the people, and the system itself. And to finish off that process, we have monitoring and evaluation, such that our to a youth fund, before mwaka ingine itoke wakuje kutoa pesa, wanaita vijana wanasema hii mwaka tumepeana pesa fulani na tumepea kina nani na vitu kama hizo. For IDs, for all government services, we have a monitoring and evaluation program, venye hata mtu mwenye anastopisha system anaweza tole. Yeah, so that was solution number 1. Solution number 2 was use of radio, TV and other mediums. You find that hizi information mingi zikifanyika ziwa announcewa kwa gazeti in English. So 99% of us hatujuangi zikifanyika, zinaenda na zina nini. So we would like for them to be, you use other mediums. For example, tulikuwa tunasema ukienda Kawangware asubuhi wanapenda kusikiza Gideon Ghost. Ukienda Mathare jioni tunapenda kusikiza Mbusi. Ukienda Kangemi tunaekeangwa Maina Kageni asubuhi. So vitu kama hizo, it's a very innovative way of getting to the people and having the information get to the right people. Na pia kucheck on languages. So kuna languages zingine zenye you will have to go deeper kuelezea watu what exactly you mean for them. Number 3 was creating a citizen accountability structure mandated by the people, so that pale kijijini yenyu mnashikana, mnachagua wase wenye watakuwa na check kila kitu ya public participation na all these programs. Ndio any project zenye inafanyika kwa mtaa yenyu inafaa itoke from the people, si inatoka huko mnakuja kufanyiwa. So when you have that system from your area, na isikuwe ni hawa leaders wametengeneza sijui committee ya CDF na nini, it's your own people mmetengeneza a structure for this, you can be able to oversee all projects that are being undertaken in your area. And lastly was a word-based standardization process. So we say that ile ward yenyu ya MCA should be the unit of development. Ndio tukisema kila ward iko na hospitali, inakuwa ward zote Kenya ziko na hospitali. Tukisema hii ward inawekwa shule, inakuwa kila ward iko na shule.
The only way to control the rural urban migration, even to the city, it is to make sure that those services which make people to come to the city are provided within the other counties. That is the only way to reduce it. But if everyone wants to enjoy the life, knows Nairobi is the best way, is the only place for me to enjoy, they will come to Nairobi. But if you have options for people to decide, you will reduce.
Devolution must work so that the opportunities that Kenyans think of accessing only Nairobi should be accessible in Bungoma, should be accessible in Uasin Gishu, they should be in West Pokot. If it does not work in any given county, and we say poverty anywhere is a threat to property everywhere, we need to ensure devolution works so that we grow together.
National government, pesa yenye wanapeana ni kidogo sana yenye wanapea county. So ilikuwa mzuri kama wange at least wapeane hiyo pesa ya kulingana na vile county iko. Ndio at least hata hiyo sawa watu wakitaka kupewa services. So itakuwa ngumu wapewe hiyo services, we say ni usawa, lakini pesa hiyo ni kidogo. Wakitaka kukawa ni kidogo, at least hiyo usawa haitakuweko kwa sababu kuna penye itafika na penye haitafika. Wataangalia kwanza kuwa ni gani ndio first priority ndio wasaidike.
Seems to be a need for some form of accountability, maybe increased citizen engagement. What is there doesn't seem adequate for providing public engagement. There's some concern about the census, its transparency, and whether the information is relevant to the current setting. Also the poverty data, and whether the information used in the poverty data is useful right now. There's a lot of concern about planning and the adequacy of planning and the budget execution and utilization, and then both the national and the county level. And that was also an area of concern in the groups we had the plenary session. So I think maybe that's a big area you should take forward. There's a section on prioritization and whether we are spending money on the right things. Within the public participation bill, there's a requirement that describes how public participation is supposed to happen. There's some standards you're supposed to fulfill, there's some levels you're supposed to agree on. If that is not fulfilled, that means that public participation can be deemed null and void by a court of law. This is a mechanism, a constitutionally provided mechanism for you to intervene in the affairs, in public affairs from a very powerful angle, meaning that you can actually have the control of budget issued with a court injunction stopping her from spending the budget of a particular county government or national government based on your court application and lack of public participation.